Ferrari shares slumping this morning, the market reacting with disappointment after the Italian manufacturer unveiled its first fully electric car. There it is. The 5-seat model is priced at a mere $640,000 and marks a sharp break from the sport cars maker's fuel-burning heritage. Joining us is Bloomberg transport reporter Danny Lee. Danny, tell us more about the car. Why has the reaction, at least from investors, been so negative?
Well, when you think about, Tom, the legacy that Ferrari has, this is a very much a fully electric vehicle that is very un-Ferrari-like. When you think of the two-doors, two-seater luxury sports cars that this Italian sports car maker does produce, the Prancing Horse is famous for, this is very much a departure. It's also a fully electric vehicle, partly designed by former Apple executive Johnny Ive. So there's a lot that is very different, and I think investors are really digesting just how much Ferrari is trying to not pivot so much, but really capture a completely different audience, and perhaps audiences in different geographical markets. That is very radical to maybe something that is more attuned to the traditionalists, with all the fuel and the fury that the Ferrari sports car is normally like. So this is very much a departure, and therefore you see that stock down really quite hard.
And it's interesting because Ferrari themselves have dialed back their ambitions of how many EV vehicles they're going to produce. Originally, I think their plan was to produce about 40% EVs by 2030. They've now dialed that down to 20%. But let's go back to the origin of all of this. Why have Ferrari decided to go electric?
Well, Ferrari wants to have a foothold even in some of the more nascent technologies. Clearly, the market has moved in various ways, but it's not just good enough having combustion engine, high-performance combustion engine cars. And so Ferrari wants to have not just that, but also hybrids and fully electric vehicles, and particularly in markets where it does really well, such as China, so it can have a bit more diversity in its offering. But clearly, by having a little bit of exposure, it does mean that it can potentially generate higher earnings, and particularly with this new pricing of this Ferrari Luce is going to be at the higher end of what it sells of its regular range. So this pricing is a very deliberate strategy as well to help drive up those earnings, particularly as its overall production of Ferrari cars are generally capped, so therefore it can keep that exclusivity.
So, Danny, look, this is obviously a really important moment for Ferrari pushing into EVs, but this is just one. To your point, this is just one amongst the portfolio that Ferrari will now offer. So how much of an effect is it likely to have on the company's performance, the outlook going forward?
Well, Ferrari does have the confidence to, when it has broken the mold. So it, earlier in the last couple of years, has produced an SUV that has 4 seats and 4 doors. Completely different to what it has done. But what it has been able to do is capture popularity. It's an SUV that has sold really well. And therefore, when it's been thinking about, according to Bloomberg reporting about the performance version, it means it can charge much more potentially for some of these models. And therefore, this does feed ultimately to higher earnings, particularly at a time when we have seen sales slip because of the Iran war. So therefore, it has been disrupted in some of its key markets. So all of these new models do help lay that foundation for a bit of a stronger future.